Welcome to Zen Summer, where we talk about healthy living, mind, body, and spirit. So, last week we talked about setting boundaries and we talked about red flags and a little bit about, abusive relationships, although at some point I think that's going to be a whole nother show. But we ended it when we were talking about mindset and how to change the way you think about things. And I think that's really important in finding your peace, finding your inner peace, finding your Zen summer, finding your Zen moments, because how you see the world will change how the world is for you, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
We were also off the video for a little bit talking, and we also were talking about values, and I think that values are how your mindset is created. So I think talking about and figuring out what your values actually are, and I mean, we all have different values. Nothing is better or worse than anybody else's. What you value is what you value. It is part of who you are. For instance, one value for me is being able to share my truth, being able to speak my truth. Now, that doesn't sound like a very common or typical value, but it is important to me. It is one of the things that I most need to do. And it is because I feel like there is a part of me that has always wanted the best for others, and I want to be able to share what I've learned, because I've been through I've been through a lot.
Yeah,
Well, and you've been through a lot too, so I think that's a value maybe that we both share, is wanting to be able to share our truth.
Yeah,
Some
I
people
think that's true.
may value wealth, and if that's a value you hold, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I have never not that I don't want wealth, not that I don't realize that money makes the world go round and I desire and need some of it in order to survive.
Right.
But it's not a top priority for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely makes sense. Because it's I feel very similarly. To live humbly is, to be able to live, I think, more, I don't know, less attached to things and more attached to, the experiences you have in life, as opposed to the stuff that you have in life.
One of the things I used to try and do when the kids were little was to create memories. We didn't have a lot of money. We really didn't. But we always had, like, my kids remember having the giant water balloon fight that traveled the inside and outside my house.
Oh, man.
Oh, it was, everything
that sounds like a trip.
Everything was wet. And the thing is, Mom didn't get to actually throw any water balloons, because here's a hint, folks. If you're going to have a water balloon fight, just fill as many water balloons as you have, and don't try and do it while they're having the water balloon fight.
No, you're supposed to pre-do it so that you can play too.
Well, I missed the whole fight because now they have that thing you can hook to the hose and it's got all the little fingers on it. You can fill a bunch at once.
That doesn't work very well.
We didn't have anything like that. I had to stand at the sink with it pulled up over the top of the sink, and I'm just like standing there filling water balloons, and they're running in. Can I have 3 more? Yep, here.
For the reload.
Yeah, the reload. But it was important to me to create memories for the kids, because I wanted them to recognize that they had that childhood. It was important to me that they had a childhood. I don't remember my childhood. I remember bits and pieces, but there's a lot of it that got blocked out, and I don't even know why it got blocked out. But so for me, a value was creating those memories. Now, that value has changed because my children aren't little anymore. And I have somewhat of that importance with my grandchildren, but I'm not with them every day. So it's a little different. When I am with them, we have deep discussions. I want them to have that same memory of me as my children do. but it's not an everyday value for me. So values can grow and change over time. And I think we both agree that they should grow and change over time.
Yes. Yes. I mean, when you're a young child, your values are, living in the world in a way that makes sense to you and makes you feel as if you're accepted. And I know everybody wants to be accepted. I think we talked about that in the last episode. Everyone wants to be loved. And once we realize that everyone is kind of on that same wavelength, we're able to fit in, I think, more with ourselves than with others. But as you grow
fitting in
into
or
like
accepting? I
a
think
young
we
adult,
accept ourselves. I think it's that we accept ourselves, not that we fit in so much, but that we learn to accept ourselves because we realize that we're not as different as we thought we were.
Right, but that's not a realization. See, those values shift and change, like I said, over from childhood to young adulthood to adulthood. That's one of the values that should shift and change. It's usually starting off from a me perspective and then shifting to a you perspective and then coming back to a me, but it's more of an inclusive me, if you understand my meaning.
Well, kind of, it goes from a me perspective to a you perspective to an us perspective to a unity perspective. And I think that's, Soul and I had a conversation about emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, and I think that has a lot to do with that when you grow and your values appropriately grow and change with you, and your mind and perspective appropriately grows and changes with that your emotional intelligence is growing and becoming different. Emotional intelligence is about recognizing emotions. It's about knowing how to act instead of react. It's a very important. I'm not showing a lot of emotional intelligence lately when I have my little temper spurts. So, but I recognize it, which is an emotionally intelligent thing to do. It's just that I get control of myself. But life happens, guys. This is one of the things that I think people forget. They see, and maybe I think I see myself a little this way too, but they see me talk about spirituality, about finding inner peace. They see that this is called Zen Summer, and even our icon is this meditating person. And so in a way, in some ways, I see myself as and in other ways, I recognize that I am not that always peaceful person because I'm human.
That's right. I mean, but that's a healthy recognized realization. It's a very healthy realization because it helps you to be kinder to yourself when you're struggling in life.
I think, and I don't know that you don't have the kind of health issues that I have.
I've had a few, but no, not to the extent that you have.
I think that it's really hard for people to realize that someone with chronic illness struggles all the time with even the desire to remain here. Because it's painful every single day. It's difficult. It's got its challenges for sure. But I had spiraled into a really bad depression at one point, and Soul and I had talked about the fact that gratitude helped pull me out of that. But that's a mindset change. So when you need to change their perspective, you have to find a tool that works for you. For me, it was gratitude.
Right.
We played with a lot of tools when you and I were talking about how to get you out of the mindset you were in. And there were a lot of things that you did, like creatively, because I know you like to do creative stuff.
Yes, I do. I've actually started maybe recently dabbling in some creative things. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh boy, I'm excited to see what that's going to be.
Well, it's in the mind. It hasn't materialized yet, but it will.
You're not going to tell us? You're not going to give us a hint?
Well, you're not supposed to talk about it until it's happened.
Okay, I'll leave it be then. Is that like if you tell the wish, it won't come true?
I want to show it, I want to talk about it and be like, ta-da.
Oh, we're gonna do show and tell. Oh my goodness. So the other day I was watching something on TikTok and I don't remember what it was now, but I remember in the video they said, when we were kids we used to do show and tell. I don't know when that changed, and I thought, oh, you know what, how much fun, we should do some adult show and tell. These are the things I like to do.
Yeah. I'll show you my rock collection.
I actually, where is it? You said rock collection right near me, and I don't remember the name of it, but this is one of my favorite stones.
Pretty.
I'll have to find the name of it because I have to look it up every time because I always forget, because in case you didn't know, my chronic illnesses come with a lovely amount of brain fog and forgetfulness. But the way these stones are made is they don't put these in a tumbler. These come right out of a river over in like India, just like this.
Look how beautiful.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's one of my favorite stones, and it's really good for your chakras, which I've already done a conversation on the chakras, and at some point we could do some talking.
I heard that. Chakras. I listened. That was good. I liked it.
I love everything to do with the chakras. Some of my coaching, even if I don't necessarily say it's chakra related, I base a lot of my coaching around the chakras because
it's a good foundation.
Safety and security, your foundation. That's a foundation for not just chakras, but life in general.
Right.
And so if you have a mindset, because we're talking about mindsets, if you have a mindset that is a fear-based mindset, something happened to create that, and we need to find a way to create a sense of safety and security before anything else is going to change. Because if you're living in fear, how do you live at all? Everything based on fear?
Well, that's what breeds the hatred and the anger and the resentfulness and the bitterness, is this fear that manifested itself into something or was stemmed from something that happened to you, like in reality, that you or in your mind or your emotions, you're not ready yet to face. But when you have these feelings, it means that you have not faced it, and it's, kind of presenting itself and bleeding into you in a different way, and something you need to look at and examine and dissect and figure out where it came from, why it is the way it is, and, slowly work on changing something about yourself that maybe you don't think is good for you.
So I grew up with a mom who was a worrywart. I mean, she labeled herself that, and eventually I began calling her that too, because she worried about everything. But worry is a fear mindset. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard. The world is pretty scary every day you step out into.
Here's how much she worried, though. Like this, she might have gone a little far sometimes with the worry, because for instance, I don't know, it's 9-10 o'clock at night, and I'm in my house. We owned a house at the time, and my mother has always gone to bed around 8:30-ish. So this is late for her.
Right.
She calls me because she sat up in bed and was thinking about this. She calls me and says, "Did you have your septic tank pumped this year?"
What?
Why? Why are you
such a random thing to call you for in the middle of the night?
But this is the extent to which she worries.
Well, see, that's definitely to the point where it would be problematic when it's affecting your behavior in a way that is illogical. And like, if you rationally can think this is a question that can wait for the morning, and yet your anxiety and your worry is telling you that you need to make this phone call right away, the worry and the anxiety is the thing you need to examine, not the task that your worry and anxiety is telling you that needs to be done.
Exactly. And so she's gotten that under control. This was many years ago, and somehow she's managed.
Sorry, that was just an example.
Yeah, no, she's managed to get that under control. But that's the example, that if you are worrying to the extent, like you said, that something is making you get up and do something at night. Now, listen, like I said, the reason I said this is because I kind of inherited some of the worry wart stuff.
Well, I mean, nobody's perfect. I have OCD, so I inherited that from my mother, for sure.
I have not let it get so bad where I will call someone in the middle of the night. Let me rephrase that. I think I've gotten control of that, because I do think I may have done that in the past.
Had the urge more than once.
Oh, I've definitely had the urge. And I probably in my earlier years have done that. My husband has spent a lot of years teasing me about being a control freak, because I
That's a fear-based response, though. It's actually something that you couldn't control your environment, so you became very controlling of the things that happened around you and yourself to combat the things in your environment you couldn't control at all.
Something I want to point out about this conversation is, and I love that you're doing it, you are looking at the action that's being taken and you're going, so this is what happened that may have caused you to take these actions. When someone, I will give an example, and this was well before you and I met, different campground that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
We were at a camp. I just want to make that clear very quickly so that you didn't like start wondering if it was the campground we were at together.
Okay.
We were at a campground, and this woman, I kind of feel bad now for her, because I've put a story in my head as to what caused her to act like this, but she absolutely, at the time, my youngest son was right around 14, 15. And he would go out and play basketball because there was a basketball court in this campground. Unfortunately, it was right next to this woman's camper, and she despised that boy because he was the only kid living in the campground, and she just didn't really like having him out there playing, and she didn't like it. He was too noisy and whatever. So she went to the campground owner one day and made an accusation that he had done something, and I'm not going to say what, but that he had done something that was disturbing if it had been true, for sure. But he had been in the camper with me all day long, so I knew it wasn't true. And of course, they just thought I was defending him, and we left the campground because I just didn't want to be around her energy anymore. But
okay,
I started wondering why. First of all, you live in a campground that is child friendly, that has a basketball court and a mini golf and like all these things for kids to do. And yet you are nasty and vile when it comes to these children. What could have caused that? Because I wanted to be forgiving. I didn't want to hold a grudge.
Yeah, but some people just be like that, though.
But there are reasons. I was talking to someone a few days ago who was telling me about their relative who has a big house with lots of rooms and an expensive car and all these things, and it's all material items, and yet she's not a nice human. And I don't know why, but from what I was being told, I immediately felt like, okay, because she was just not a nice human. The things that she was doing are not nice. There's an emptiness that she's not able to fill, because all these things she's trying to fill it with, all of these actions she's trying to fill it with, but she's not filling it, and it's not being fulfilled, so she's still not a nice human.
Well, yeah.
And then you can feel kind of sorry, you feel bad for them, you can even forgive them for terrible actions. But we're going to talk about boundaries again.
It still doesn't stop them from continuing to behave in that manner.
You forgive them, and then you say, I don't accept this action anymore. That's right. You can set the boundary and not be a part of their circle or have them within your aura, and still forgive and maybe even understand what has caused it. you cannot change another person. You can
No,
only
absolutely
change
not.
your mindset. You can only change your actions. You can only do so much. But what Summer does is what she does. I can't change who she is. What I do is what I do. She can't change it. We can influence each other,
Right.
but I can't force you to do something differently.
No. Well, you know, being a compassionate human, you would not wish to force your will upon me. But I would not say that that's necessarily true about everybody.
Exactly. And I
You
think
have to
that
be very
people need to
careful.
remember that the only thing we have control over is ourselves.
That's right.
And so I can focus on how I can change my reactions or my actions, but I can't change what you're going to say, what's going to come out of your mouth, but I can change how I react to it.
Right.
And all of that is mindset, guys. All of that, all of what we're talking about is shifting mindset.
Well, I think you have to be, I think the first shift or the first step towards a shift, if you feel stuck somewhere, or maybe you feel a breakthrough coming, but you're not quite there yet, I would meditate on awareness of when these emotions come over you and what is causing those emotions and whether they are negative or positive, and or how you feel about them negatively or positively. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be inherently negative or positive.
Well, that's exactly. I would say that would be exactly how I would advise someone to go. Is first question, why is it? What am I feeling?
Right.
Because a lot of people don't know how to identify what it is they're actually feeling. Because sometimes my anger looks like hurt, looks like sadness,
Right.
because I cry when I'm mad.
Frustrated. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have nothing
And that
else to
just
do
comes
with
with
it,
being
so I
a
start
woman.
crying.
Yeah.
So you have to identify first, and then you have to ask yourself, why am I having this emotion? How do I feel about this emotion? And how do I feel about how I responded or reacted?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's an important one. Definitely.
Well, if I'm going to try to be better tomorrow than I am today, I kind of have to ask myself, how do I feel about how I handled that situation?
Yeah. Because that should dictate the next day, if that situation presents itself again, how you would behave realistically in a different manner. Should. I mean,
Right, and the
hard
thing
to
is,
learn lessons, but
maybe
still.
I reacted well. Maybe I felt like I handled it well. That almost never happens, by the way, because I always think, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done that. How many times
Absolutely.
have you
Absolutely.
left a conversation and been like,
For
darn
sure.
it, why didn't I say this?
1000%. Happened to me so many times. It's not even funny.
So I think that it's very important. And this is a journaling thing that you can do. You can sit down and write, okay, what emotions did I have today? What situations came up today? And how do I feel about how I handled those?
Right.
And maybe even if I didn't say something that I wish I said, what was that? And maybe sometimes I'll wish I said something that I probably shouldn't have said anyway, because I'm just angry. But is there a better way I could say it?
Yes, yes. It gives you some time to consider, just
I don't think we reflect
try to be a kinder human, but don't necessarily allow yourself to be, the butt of the joke or the mat that everyone likes to wipe their feet on.
I don't think that we reflect near enough. And I think most of us don't reflect near enough. I reflect a lot, and I know I don't reflect enough.
Yeah, same. I feel like I don't necessarily have enough time to truly delve into the recesses of why I ended up in the situations I ended up in, and why I handled it the way that I did, and why I repeated that process for a long
Now,
time.
that being said, and we're getting close to our time here, but I want to make sure that I say this too. While I don't think we reflect enough, I do think sometimes we overthink, if that makes sense, because I will
Definitely my mind.
tear myself apart over some stupid thing I said that I wish I didn't say, or that I think I said wrong, or that I think I might have been taken wrong, and I will tear myself up rather than just forgive myself and try to be better next time. So
Right.
while you're reflecting, don't rip yourself apart. Just go, okay, probably shouldn't have done that. How can I do it differently next time? Because this time is gone. You can't change it. You have to forgive yourself and try to be better next time.
Right. Well, that's that mindset shift. I think it has a lot to do with not only are you realizing where and what you could do differently, but you're realizing how to be able to do it gracefully and allow yourself room and time to step into these lessons that you're trying to place on yourself.
Exactly.
Which is very difficult.
Well, none of this is easy. No. It's all very difficult, but the most worthwhile things are difficult.
And always. Why are they always so hard though?
I know, but learning to have some inner peace and finding that inner peace, everybody thinks it's just going to come like that, but it's not.
No, it's so a fight. It's a fight.
But it's so worth that battle.
Yeah.
So worth it.
For sure.
We are at the end of our time. So I'm going to wrap up here. For more information on mindset shifting and my favorite person who talks about changing your thoughts and changing your life, look up on YouTube Wayne Dyer and listen to some of his talks, read some of his books. He's amazing. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but we are going to have Summer with us again, so we will see you again next time. If you'd like to show support for Zen Summer, the hosts, and the information that we're sharing, you can visit us on ko-fi.com/Zen Summer. That's ko-fi.com/Zen Summer. And until next time, we wish for all of you, if not a Zen summer, then at least a Zen moment or two.